What's going on, guys? In this video, we're going to talk about the top 5 cities in all of South Florida for young professionals. And they're in no order, it's just the 5 cities that are the best. But we looked at the job opportunity, the job growth, as well as, probably more importantly, the things to do, the nightlife, food scene, shopping, dining, all of those aspects of it, as well as a location to be able to go explore other areas of Florida as well. So let's jump right into it. But before we do that, all I ask is that you hit the like and subscribe button if you want to know more about eating, living, sleeping, and even playing here in South Florida and Florida in general. It really helps us out. But now let's get right into it. All right, first up, we have Brickell. And yes, I know Brickell is not a city, but we're going to call it like that Brickell area then for the sake of this video. So Brickell, for those of you who don't know, is just south of downtown, and it is the financial district of Miami. And pretty much every financial job in Miami is right there, bringing a lot of tech jobs, and there's more and more companies moving and kind of settling in Miami in that Brickell area as well. And one of the really nice things about Brickell is it's probably the most walkable of all the cities on this list, except for maybe one. So you really don't need a car. I mean, you can literally go and do everything, either walking, taking an Uber or a Lyft if you really need to, or even taking the Miami Metro Mover, which is free to go across the bridge to downtown and to go to other areas. So in terms of things to do, there's everything and anything right there in Brickell. So you have excellent shopping with Brickell City Center. You have other shopping opportunities. You have food, fine dining such as Sexy Fish, Komodo, even Gecko. I mean, those are obviously the big name ones, but there's other places besides for that. Excellent nightlife opportunities and bars. So there's pretty much everything and anything to go out at night and do. Plus, there's a really active scene as well. I mean, there's Equinox down there, so there's the gym. Everything you could want to do is right there. You really don't have to leave. But if you do, downtown's literally across the bridge. You could take the Metro Mover, you could walk, or you could take an Uber. So you can go catch a Heat game, go to Bayfront Park, things like that. Midtown and Woodwood aren't too far away either, and even Edgewater. And then if you want to go to the beach, you can head to Miami Beach, which isn't too far at all either. Plus, if you want to head up to Fort Lauderdale or West Palm, you can go to downtown on the Metro Mover, hop on the Bright Line, and then it's only a 30-minute ride from downtown Miami to Fort Lauderdale. So overall, an excellent location with everything to do. So, I mean, if you want to be able to walk to everything and you love the vibe of Miami, Brickell is the place for you. Next up on the list, we have Fort Lauderdale. And Fort Lauderdale's downtown is bustling, probably not as much as Miami, obviously, but it's a nice happy medium between that of West Palm in the Miami area. So there's a lot of jobs in the downtown Fort Lauderdale area as well as the greater Fort Lauderdale area as well. A lot of the similar type jobs, so finance, tech, banking jobs. I know that kind of ties into finance. We do have a lot more yachting jobs and things to do with boats because Fort Lauderdale is the yachting capital of the world. So there's a lot more maritime type opportunities. But with that being said, on the flip side of everything, with the actual quality of life in Fort Lauderdale, very similar to that of Brickell and the Miami area, but I would say the only downside is there's not as many clubs in Fort Lauderdale. So if you're gonna go clubbing and you want to go like the Club Space or something, you're gonna have to drive to Miami or even take the Bright Line. On the flip side, there are a couple. I mean, like Sway's one. You have Dare at the Hard Rock. I know it's in Hollywood. I know. It still kind of counts as Fort Lauderdale. We'll call it this because we'll include a casino as something to do if you live in Fort Lauderdale, because you can go to the Hard Rock in Hollywood, or you can go to Coconut Creek and go to that casino as well. On top of that, they do have great shopping and dining options. So you have the Galleria Mall right there. You can head down to the Aventura Mall. You can head north up to Boca and go to Boca Town Center. In terms of the dining options, you have Las Olas. So Las Olas is kind of like that main strip of everything. So whether it's the bars you're trying to go out to, maybe just grab a nice meal. Got the Cheesecake Factory. Can't go wrong with the Cheesecake Factory. That menu's like a book. Other than that, they do have other great restaurants over there as well. You have to try Rocco's Tacos. You can get the guac table side. You head to the beach. You can go boating. I mean, there's a little bit of everything for everyone. Plus, there's a lot more opportunities for housing there with both rentals and purchases. I will say it is a little bit more cost effective than that of Brickell, but everything is relative, and we're not going to talk about that in this side of it. We're talking more so on things to do. Next up on the list, and kind of under the radar, and I feel like a lot of people don't talk about it as a great place for young professionals, is Pompano. And you're probably like, all right, Joe, what in the world has gone into you talk about Pompano for young professionals? And look, I know they don't have a really bustling downtown. They really don't have a downtown at all compared to that of like the two we've already talked about, Fort Lauderdale and Miami. However, there are a lot of plans in the works, and there's a lot of development going on in Pompano. Plus, you're not too far from Fort Lauderdale and the Boca Del Rey area if you do have a job that needs you to go into an office, because there's really not that many offices right there in Pompano. When you think of Pompano, you think of the beach, you think of the pier, you think of fishing. But it's a great place because, number one, I mean, it is a little bit more cost effective, but number two, there's a lot of stuff to do. I mean, the nightlife aspect of it in Pompano isn't there yet. I mean, it's more shopping, dining, bar scene. There is a nice brewery, 26 Degree Brewing on Atlantic Boulevard, not Atlantic Avenue. Other than that, I mean, it's a great quality of life because you're not too far from everything as well. So, I mean, you could still technically have a job in Fort Lauderdale and live in Pompano. And it's what a lot of people do end up doing, just because there's a lot of stuff to do in Pompano. You do get like a little bit more like space to spread out, which people really do enjoy. And especially if you love being on the water. I mean, if you live in Pompano, you can be out of Lighthouse Point Inlet in maybe 20, 30 minutes. So that's a real pro to it, along with the beach and the fishing like we talked about before. But, I mean, it's super underrated, so a lot of people don't think about it, and it's definitely one to keep on your list. Next up, we have one of my personal favorites, and that's Delray Beach. And Delray has, by far, one of the best downtowns in all of South Florida, and it's completely different downtown than that of which you're thinking. When you think of downtown, you're thinking skyscrapers and these massive buildings and hustling and bustling, and Delray is hustling and bustling, don't get me wrong, but it's not the high-rises and things like that. It's got a lot more character to it, which makes it a lot of fun. And there's just like the ambiance of being there and the vibe. People really, really do enjoy it, and they crave it. I mean, it's one of the few places in South Florida where like nobody really drives a car. If you live there, you get a golf car and you just whip that thing around, and that's the thing to do. So it's a lot of fun. It's very different from other areas of South Florida. Now, don't get me wrong. They do have great job opportunities and things like that within both Delray, Boca, which is right next door. And you're also not too far from West Palm, probably about 30, 40 minutes, depending on traffic. And you could also have a job in Fort Lauderdale because you're not too far at the same time as well. But going back to the things to do in the downtown area, so everything's on Atlantic Avenue, and I'm talking shopping, dining, bars. I mean, they do have semi-clubs, but they're not really like the club scene. Like I'm telling you, the club scene, West Palm and Miami, and West Palm is barely there. It's pretty much all Miami. So that aspect of it. But in Delray, you can still go boating. You have the beach, you have water sports, like everything is right there. And once you go and see Atlantic Avenue for yourself, you're really going to be like, oh, wow, like this is the place to be. This is where I want to live. This is where I want to build my career. And last but not least, we have West Palm. And you had to talk about West Palm. West Palm is the major city in Palm Beach County. So they do have a thriving downtown, very similar to that of both Fort Lauderdale and Miami. I'd probably put it like a step below both of them. It is growing immensely, and you can just see the money being poured into West Palm. But it's just not there yet. Like I'd say in terms of hustling and bustling and everything going on, you have Miami, then you have Fort Lauderdale, then you have West Palm. But it is, things are still happening. There's a lot of career opportunities across the board in every single different avenue that you want to go. Finance, tech, consulting. There's pharmaceutical jobs there as well. So like there's a wide range of opportunities no matter what you're doing. On the flip side of that, on the quality of life, things to do location-wise, I mean, there's a Brightline station there as well. So there's a Brightline station downtown West Palm, downtown Fort Lauderdale, downtown Miami. So you can get to everything really, really quickly. They also have two new stations, one in Boca at Meisner Park, one also at the Aventura Mall. So everything is easily accessible, especially if you live right there in downtown West Palm. On the other side of it, the bar scene, awesome. A lot of rooftop bars there, and they're building a lot more. I mean, when you go there on the weekend or like on a night out, like you can kind of see like Clematis Street is the place to be, but I would say it's still not there on the level of some other ones. Like I'd even put Atlantic Avenue over Clematis Street personally, if you're looking on that side of things and like the nightlife aspect of it. But in terms of fine dining and shopping, oh man, it's up there. It's got to be right there with Miami neck and neck. I feel like Miami's just a little bit more flashier than the fine dining aspect of West Palm, because you also have Palm Beach, which is right there as well. And Palm Beach takes everything to another level. So if you want to be around that, you want to be around a little bit more refined experiences, that's definitely for you there in both Palm Beach and West Palm. Not to say you couldn't have it in all the other cities like Delray, Fort Lauderdale, Pompano, Brickell, and Miami, but it's just a different atmosphere. And once you get there and kind of experience it, it'll kind of be like, okay, wow, do I want to be around this? Is this how I want to build my career and set everything up to help myself move forward? So those are the top 5 cities in all of South Florida for young professionals. So let me know in the comments down below, did I miss anything? Should I have talked about another city that should have made the list over another one? And then if you or anyone you know are looking to move to South Florida and Florida in general, we'd love to be your real estate resource of choice. You can call, text, or email me. Whatever's easiest for you, we got you.